With over 400,000 copies sold to comic shops last week, Invincible Universe Battle Beast #1 made an explosion of a debut. While this issue marks a fresh start, the formidable character of Battle Beast is a veteran of the Invincible universe. He first appeared in 2004 in issue number 19 of Robert Kirkman's acclaimed series, where he was introduced as a mercenary for the crime lord Machine Head. It was there that Battle Beast famously and effortlessly defeated both Invincible and the Guardians of the Globe, leaving them barely clinging to life. If you've watched any of my videos before or seen my channel previously, you know me. I love a good brawl, a cosmic conqueror, and characters that hit harder than Thor's hammer. And, well, when it comes to that, there is a new name that has shredded its way to the top of the pile of defeated opponents and demoralized foes: Battle Beast. Now, for full transparency, I was not a long-time follower of the Invincible series, nor was I intimately familiar with Battle Beast's character before diving into this new release. However, after reading this exciting inaugural issue, I was instantly hooked. The book excels in introducing the character, his compelling backstory, his powerful motivations, and the epic journey that awaits him in this series. One of the other strengths of this debut issue is its accessibility for newcomers like myself. It's a testament to the writing that no prior homework or catch-up on the previous series was required. This issue masterfully brings readers into Battle Beast's world, making it an incredibly engaging entry point. So today, we are tearing into this debut issue that's got everyone talking. We're going to dive in with an exciting, engaging overview that'll give you a taste of what's inside. Then we'll do an in-depth review talking about what truly landed with a devastating blow and what might have missed its mark. So sharpen your claws, prepare for impact, because without further ado, let's get right into it. You are not going to want to miss a single page. We open with an enraged Battle Beast clutching two mangled and torn corpses, their broken bones and shredded flesh grotesquely apparent. He holds them by their heads, screaming in righteous fury, declaring his profound dissatisfaction with the combatants he has encountered in this current realm. He asserts that he journeyed to this place solely for the sport of hunting fierce and worthy opponents, yet he has been deceived, having vanquished them with effortless ease. He proclaims,
"You have been a pathetic waste of my time. Today is not a good day."
He then discards the bodies through a portal door where numerous other defeated and demoralized victims lie. We then shift to an establishing shot of his acquired ship, revealing that the realm he has been fighting on is Earth. As he strides back through the portal and onto his spaceship, he rages anew about the utter lack of challenge, lamenting that not a single being proved worthy of his immense power. His gaze sweeps across the filthy, blood-soaked floor of the vessel, littered with the bodies of the deceased crew. In a fit of rage, he wishes he could kill them all over again. Suddenly, an unknown voice addresses him. It is the ship's computer explaining its silent presence until now was a strategic measure to provide an advantage to the crew during their altercation. With the entire crew deceased, however, the computer sees no logical reason to remain silent. Weeks pass and Battle Beast is seen consuming the decaying carcasses of the crew. He informs the computer that he expected to have reached a spaceport by this point, acknowledging his unfamiliarity with the quadrant. The ship's computer asks him about his desired destination. He emphatically replies that he desires only battle, hungering and thirsting for a worthy opponent against whom he can test his might. He demands to be taken anywhere that will fulfill this craving. In order to provide further context to the computer, Battle Beast recognizes the necessity of sharing his story. He understands that he must not forget the past that shaped him, and that the computer must truly comprehend the glory he seeks. A flashback to Battle Beast's past on his homeworld of Dorne ensues, and we learn his true name, Thok. It was a savage, untamed world where war was the only way of life. As he matured into fighting age, an uncontainable rage ignited within him. His strength grew rapidly to match his fury, and he perceived the bottomless pit of rage as a gift. He utilized this gift to bring peace to his world, ending the wars that had plagued his people for so long. However, his rage persisted and even intensified, transforming from a gift into a curse. He realized he had to depart the utopia he had created to prevent his insatiable anger from destroying it. Now he traverses the cosmos, relentlessly searching for a worthy opponent capable of exhausting his fury and withstanding the might he unleashes. To date, he has yet to find that opponent. Having absorbed Thock's past, the ship's computer responds, asserting its vast cosmic database and access to countless data centers brimming with information on the known universe. The computer informs Battle Beast that its programming compels it to direct him towards worthy opponents, with the ultimate goal of locating someone powerful enough to kill him. Thock smiles, stating their goals are perfectly aligned. He declares that death is the sole release from his curse, and he has grown to yearn for its cold embrace. He instructs the computer to
take your best shot,
and the ship immediately charts a course for the first opponent. Battle Beast then settles into silence, like a king on his throne preparing himself for the impending battle. The ship lands on an undisclosed and seemingly deserted planet. Battle Beast traverses the desolate wasteland, discovering a holding cell situated in the middle of this vast, empty desert. As he approaches the structure, he finally finds his opponent's head protruding from the cell. The massive head initially appears to be sleeping or dead, but it abruptly wakens, revealing a chilling grin. The grotesque, monstrous face is surprised and impressed by Thock's presence, taken aback by the power emanating from him. Battle Beast remains unfazed by the hideous creature's pleasantries and empty overtures. He gazes steadfastly into the monster's eyes, standing resolute and unperturbed. The monstrous head pleads with Thock, asking to be freed, claiming its brittle bones ache to be rid of confinement and desiring its final days to be unrestrained. Battle Beast shows clear signs of growing anger and impatience. The hideous face continues its discourse, spewing long diatribes of empty platitudes and pathetic attempts to persuade and manipulate Thock into releasing it from imprisonment. However, in his impatience and anger, Battle Beast reels back his arm, cocks his fist, and delivers a devastating blow to the structure holding the monster, cracking it into pieces and completely wrecking it. The creature breaks free from its bonds, revealing a massive, hulking, muscle-bound figure that towers over Thock. This is the Colossus of MCU, a tyrant who has conquered empires and terrorized the known universe. The Colossus threatens Battle Beast, asserting that now that he is free, he will surely kill him. In a single powerful leap, Thock launches himself onto the hulking figure, declaring,
I know your story, tyrant. I didn't free you because you tricked me. I know your power, and I want it. All of it. Give it to me.
With that, Battle Beast rears his head back and with the force of a freight train headbutts his opponent, knocking out multiple rows of the Colossus's jagged yellowed teeth. Thock falls to the floor after delivering the devastating blow. The creature's teeth immediately grow back, signifying its healing powers and indicating it may indeed be a challenging and worthy opponent. With a swift and agile movement, Battle Beast seizes the sword from his back, kicks the creature in the chest, and lops off multiple of its fingers in one fell swoop. The creature's fingers quickly regenerate, rendering Thock's attack ineffective. Battle Beast immediately launches a counterattack, aiming directly for the head. However, with swift reflexes, the Colossus catches the blade between his massive hands, proclaiming,
You face me with mere toys at your disposal. My body is the strongest weapon here.
With a twist of his arms, the monster shatters Thock's blade and locks him in a chokehold. Displaying murderous intent, Battle Beast, fueled by his insane anger and berserker rage, bites down into the monster's arm. He continues to bite and chomp down, exposing more blood and bone with each brutal bite. Finally, Thok completely severs the monster's arm at the bicep, falling to the ground with the bones still in his mouth. With the agility of a cheetah, Battle Beast uses the severed arm as a pole vault to hurl himself at the Colossus, landing 2 lethal and devastating blows across its face. Infuriated and frustrated by the massive damage inflicted, the monster grabs Thok by the throat. With a straight face, Battle Beast then takes his opponent's severed arm and slashes it across the monster's body, severing him completely in 2. Green blood violently oozes and splatters across the battlefield as Thok's foe tumbles to the ground. Battle Beast surveys his defeated opponent with disgust and anger, stating,
You were imprisoned on this world for thousands of years. Tales of your might have grown into legend during that time. The legends were wrong. You are not a worthy opponent.
As he walks back to his ship, he hears a strange noise emanating from the Colossus. He discovers a tiny, helpless alien emerging from inside the open carcass. The small alien declares he is a prince from Salaka, and that Thok has felled the great enemy of their people. The helpless creature asks Battle Beast to return him to his kingdom, but Thok stares at him with disgust and annoyance. Under a darkened sky on this red planet, Battle Beast walks back to his ship, consumed by a quiet fury that builds and bubbles within him, stemming from an opponent he deems unworthy. He carries something toward the ship. It is indeed the small alien creature. Initially, it appears he might be taking the prince back to his kingdom and people after all, but this is not the intention. He states he is bringing the tiny creature along to keep it alive as fresh food for later. All right, so here we have cover A, the primary cover for Battle Beast issue number 1, illustrated by the fantastic Ryan Ottley. What's also pretty cool, though, is that we got an incredible array of variant covers from some real heavy hitters in the industry. We're talking David Finch, Cale New, Art Adams, John Boy Myers, just to name a few. Now, the other cool thing is that Image Comics and Skybound Entertainment did something pretty clever here, in my opinion. They used the blind bag marketing approach for their cover C. So for just $4, you could grab a copy and it could be any of the variant covers that you see here, or even better, one of 3 exclusive, fairly rare editions of the book. You might call it a gimmick, and maybe it is, but you cannot deny that it absolutely worked. I think it ignited excitement and engagement within the comic book community, which is exactly what Robert Kirkman was really looking to do. And listen, in an industry often criticized for a lack of innovation beyond race-swapped or gender-swapped character reimaginings for social credit, this approach feels genuinely refreshing. So let's move on and take a look at some of these opening pages. This comic kicks off with a direct recreation of a pretty pivotal scene from Invincible issue number 19, where Battle Beast absolutely demolishes Invincible and the Guardians of the Globe. This isn't just a quiet opening, it's explosive, action-packed, filled with dynamic speed lines, visceral blood effects, and powerful muscular figures. It instantly sets the tone for the series and tells you exactly what kind of intense narrative you are in for. This choice is a brilliant nod to longtime fans, giving them that instant recognition, while also immediately immersing new readers in the high-stakes world of Battle Beast. I do want to talk about and highlight a fairly fascinating narrative device, the introduction of the sentient spaceship. The ship communicates with Battle Beast, has him recount his history, and even tracks down dangerous adversaries. And at first glance, it might seem like a convenient and contrived plot device, right? But within the context of this series, I feel like it does the job and is fairly effective. It allows Battle Beast to share his motivations and backstory without bogging us down or too much with overly wordy or exposition-heavy dialogue. This narrative choice also provides Battle Beast with a companion on his journey, which I think is crucial for both new and returning readers to truly understand his character and objectives. And it makes perfect sense that it is an inanimate object, something he wouldn't feel threatened by, something that is below him, right? Allowing him to open up in a way that he may not with another living being. I absolutely love the way that Ryan Ottley does this incredible work for Battle Beast. He really draws him as this thick, muscle-bound warrior and just looks like a total force of nature. I absolutely love the design choice with the braids and his mane, but it also makes you wonder, right? What would he look like if he ever just went full berserker mode and just let that mane loose? I think that would actually be pretty cool, but I don't know. One thing is for sure, though, they do not hold back on the blood, guts, and gore in this book. They want to show you just how brutal, how savage, and how deadly Battle Beast truly is. And they have no problem doing it. You see it in the decaying carcasses on the floor, the blood all over Battle Beast's hands and face. Ottley genuinely makes him look extremely menacing. Then we get this fantastic flashback to his homeworld and a complete breakdown of his past. His underlying rage, this anger that just can't be quenched. It makes for a really compelling character trait. And for him to first see it as a gift, but then come to realize later that it's actually more of a curse, I thought was fairly interesting to explore. But check out this pose on these pages. The screaming fury and blood-soaked anger radiating from Battle Beast's action here is just totally badass. You can practically feel the force of that shield completely collapsing the skull of his opponent. It is extremely impactful. And honestly, this next page might be my absolute favorite in the entire book. I seriously hope they make a variant cover out of this because it totally deserves one. Thock's presence just dominates this page. He's bathed in this kind of ominous, almost sickly green light. You see Battle Beast's muscular, lion-like form, and there's a brutal simplicity to it that really hides his immense power. You can feel his characteristic disdain for weakness and his insatiable hunger for a worthy challenge. His posture, that mix of brooding torment and latent ferocity, perfectly encapsulates his warrior ethos, always ready for the next fight, no matter the cost. So moving on, you've got Thock standing tall against this absolutely epic backdrop. Look at this massive blood-red moon dominating the sky with those crazy swirling red and black clouds adding to the drama. And then there's Thock himself, right? He's rocking this really awesome kind of flowing blue cape dramatically behind him. The detail on his armor and his muscular build is insane, and you can practically feel the raw power radiating off him. It looks like he just stepped out of a heavy metal album cover, really. And the whole image is just dripping with atmosphere. It's powerful, it's intense, and it's a great illustration to establish us as the reader on this new planet that he's arrived on. And now the next few pages felt a bit odd to me. I understand we need to introduce this new character and set him up as Thock's opponent, but this whole meeting takes place over 6 pages, and 2 of those were a full double splash page. I wasn't entirely sure what the creative decision was here, especially since on the second page, it's nothing but the wall and Battle Beast's shadow. As storytellers, this just felt like padding out the runtime, and honestly wasting space that could have been used for other opportunities later in the fight. I get that this creature is manipulative and we need to see that effect through his long-winded, empty platitudes, right? I get it. But we also need to see that Battle Beast is getting increasingly annoyed and impatient. So yes, in that regard, I do understand it. But that double splash page, man, coming back to this really has me scratching my head as to why they used it to highlight this specific moment. I do like how Ottley illustrated the creature's face, though, however. It is, in fact, incredibly creepy, unnerving, and grotesque. But man, I cannot get over this almost blank page of just a wall. Here, I think they did a good job portraying the monster once it breaks out of its prison. It's just larger than life, and you can tell right away that it's going to be a real threat. And the sheer kinetic movement that Ottley puts into Battle Beast as he jumps onto this Colossus, it's such a cool touch. It really emphasizes just how angry he is, like almost at all times, how he's always ready for a fight, and how he's really kind of taking the initiative, making the first move here. But now this is the page I would have loved to have seen as a double splash page. The intensity of that headbutt, the sheer weight and force behind it. I felt like I could actually feel it through the page. I love all the little details here too, like all the teeth crackling and splitting, and how you can see Thock's musculature, the veins popping out of his arms and shoulders. It just adds so much intensity and pure rage to the illustration. And this is where I actually started to get a little worried, because we see those teeth starting to grow back. It really made you think that Battle Beast might actually have his work cut out for him. But the face Thock makes in this bottom panel is all business. Ottley does a fantastic job of portraying the hate and rage in Battle Beast's eyes that just fills him. You can tell it's an all-consuming fury that permeates every fiber of his being. And thanks to Ottley's artistic brilliance, you get to witness that firsthand in the facial expressions of this panel. Now, one of the things I really have to highlight and point out here is the sequential storytelling of this fight sequence. I can tell with every single panel exactly where Battle Beast is and where his opponent is, and how they're fighting each other. Every single move makes sense, and you can easily follow along with where the characters are in space. You get great camera angles and perspectives from different viewpoints that keep the energy high and the movement flowing. There's nothing bland or static here. It always keeps your eyes moving across the page without you ever losing your place and what's going on during the fight scene. Too many comics today have these sequences that feel like panels are just like missing, or that something just conveniently sort of happens. But this is laid out incredibly well. I'm able to figure out exactly how these two are exchanging blows and trying to gain the upper hand. Just like any great director does storyboarding, I am sure that Ottley and Kirkman got together and talked about how they envisioned these layouts. Now, this is where things get really brutal. We're plunged into a visceral display of raw power and unbridled fury. The dominant visual here is an explosive, almost volcanic eruption of vivid green gore, just spewing forth with terrifying force. The panels are absolutely awash with this unnatural verdant fluid. It's not just a trickle or splatter, it is a torrent gushing from the pages. And it's just a testament to the sheer destructive power unleashed by Battle Beast. And those sound effects here across these panels, repeated multiple times, they really amplify that sickening squelch and the tearing of flesh, underscoring the relentless nature of the assault. And then on the next page, this central panel is a masterpiece of kinetic energy, dominated by Battle Beast's boots just ramming into this red behemoth, reeling from this monumental kick. The impact isn't just implied, you feel that thing through the intricate line work. Now, here's the thing. Notice these multiple overlapping, vibrating lines coming out from the point of contact, mainly on Battle Beast's boots here. And especially around like the creature's face, where Battle Beast has made impact. These aren't just outlines, they are almost like vibration lines. I feel like it is a brilliant artistic choice that visually renders the shockwaves of the blow. They create a sense of blurring motion and intense force, making it seem as if the air itself is rippling from the sheer power. You'll see a lot of this done within books like Transformers that is coming out right now from Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona. They utilize this art style a lot in their action sequences. And finally, let's take a breath with this absolutely stunning splash page. After all that chaos, we are transported to this desolate, breathtaking alien landscape. That sky, the deep reds and oranges, those turbulent clouds and the scattered planets in the distance. It's just gorgeous and incredibly atmospheric. But one of the really cool elements about this is actually Battle Beast himself. He's this tiny figure in the midground silhouetted against this fiery horizon. He's just walking. It's a moment of profound quiet, a stark contrast to the brutal battles we just witnessed. It speaks volumes about his solitary nature, his endless journey, and the fury that he has to deal with day in and day out. This page isn't about action, it's about mood, scale, and character, giving us a rare glimpse into the quiet, more contemplative side of a warrior who seems perpetually cursed and engaged in cosmic level brawls, seeking out that one opponent who he may finally feel is worthy. Honestly, this has been some of the most fun I've had reading a modern comic in a long time. Now, I'll be upfront, there are some minor issues here and there, little nitpicks, and I don't necessarily think that the core premise is particularly groundbreaking or otherworldly. But you know what? I don't necessarily need that in a book called Battle Beast. What I do want from a book like this is incredible set pieces, beautiful art, fun character moments, and above all else, action. And this comic delivers on all fronts. I don't need this book to be some deep moral messaging for a social or political cause, or some subtextual allegory for a grander earthly issue. I am perfectly okay with this just being a fun, action-packed, beautifully illustrated book. And frankly, they earned my money with this one. Battle Beast's dialogue throughout is powerful and impactful, truly giving weight to his character. The artwork by Ryan Ottley is an absolutely stunning masterclass in visual storytelling. Every panel is a feast for the eyes. The colors by Annalisa Leone are beautifully impactful, adding so much mood and energy to the pages. And those action sequences, they are energetic, kinetic, and just overflowing with that pure testosterone-fueled masculine badassery that you want from a character like Battle Beast. What more could a guy ask for, right? I am extremely excited to see what this amazing creative team will come up with next in issue 2. If this is just a taste of what's to come, we are in for a wild ride, my friends. So, did you guys read this? What did y'all think? Let me know in the comments section of this video. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.